finally you get the courage to visit the doctor. You're told you'll need surgery. Dun, dun, dun. This could be alarming for most. Joining us now is Dr. Joy Woodley, General Surgeon, to talk about her work and to offer some advice in the event of any of us has to undergo a surgical procedure. Maybe Jamie will go first. So good morning, Dr. Woodley.
Hi,
Welcome to the morning SKN.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. It's a pleasure being here. Nice seeing both of you.
Same here. I'm seeing you in forever, and that's an inside joke with me and Dr. Woodley. So did you always wanted to become a doctor? What was it that drew you to this field?
Okay, most instances, persons would say, they had some, orchestrated plan to becoming a doctor, etc. But actually, that wasn't my thing. I just knew I loved using my hands. I also had the capacity to remember a lot, which is, an important aspect of doing medicine and probably many other professions. And something interesting, I had a unique interest in my mother's medicine cabinet. That's where she held all her medications. I don't know if we do it these days, but in most homes, there was a medicine cabinet with everything. I can see it right now with all of her, the Vicks, the Baron, the Alcoladder, the glucose, the soft candle. But I was just intrigued by that medicine cabinet and the scents that blended. And once you would have opened that cabinet, that waft came out.
Yes.
And I was intrigued how paracetamol can remove a pain from your ankle at the same time, remove the pain from your head. So these were the things that got me going. I had a great memory. I loved my mother's medicine cabinet, and I loved using my hands. So now if you fast forward now to my age, you realize that those were the ingredients, actually, in becoming a doctor and now a surgeon. Because I would use all of these three things, basically, and these are what I use in my daily life as a surgeon. So I just took that vein and I went to, the Sandy Point High School, where I did all the sciences. I went on to the sixth form, where I did sciences. And my love, though, was for pharmacology. So as I said to you, some persons would say, I started out, I was opening animals, etc. That wasn't me. I just knew I loved this. I had a passion, but I didn't have a title as yet. So I loved pharmacology. Then I got a scholarship to go to Cuba to do pharmacology. But guess what? When I got there, all the scholarships had gone. Oh, wow. So I then called my parents and said, I'm coming back because I can't do pharmacology. That's what I love. I want to do that. I want to know how, medicines work on the body, what interactions they have inside the body. And my dad said, no, you're not coming back. You're staying there. You are capable of much more. Oh, wow. Life is out there for you. Things are limitless. And it was a good teaching moment for me because sometimes we push ourselves in a box thinking that's the only thing we can do when we can do so much more. Indeed. And my dad said, no, you can do so much more. Life is limitless. There's medicine, there's this. And then I thought about it. I mean, his warning was stern because he said if I came back, I would get cut off, I would get no money, I would get nothing. So I stayed and I decided, okay, I'm going to go into medicine. So as I said, it wasn't anything orchestrated. It was there in the sack of my interest, but because of circumstances, and sometimes we cannot look at circumstances as negative things, but actually as an impetus to get exactly what you want. And once I got into medicine, I never looked back. I loved it.
I'm happy that you're in there.
I loved it. And then when I started doing my rotations, you have to do internal medicine, etc. I did surgery, and that was my aha moment. This is great. It's pragmatic. It made sense. It's sensible. It's stepwise. Instant gratification. And I didn't want to do any other specialty but general surgery.
Really? Okay, so I'm looking at you, I'm listening to everything that you said. Eureka moments are happening for me because I'm like, okay, initially, this is why they call it a medicine cabinet. Never thought that before, so thank you. But when we talk about the fact that you've been practicing medicine for 17 years.
17 years.
What are some of the most rewarding moments for you having to look back on that, knowing, of course, that pharmacology was your initial love?
Mm-hmm. Well, the rewarding moments, there are so many. And one of the things I enjoy about medicine is meeting people at the most vulnerable time of their lives and then you're able to give them hope, and you actually happen to help them get out of that distressful period or situation that they are going through. Me personally, as a female as well, there are many little 9-year-old Joys out there, 10-year-old Joys out there looking at me. And I'm the first female general surgeon to have been back in the Federation. So I know somewhere some little girl is looking at me and saying, okay, I can do this. Because let me tell you, when I got back, it wasn't easy being the first female general surgeon because it was unheard of.
So what were some of those difficulties?
The difficulty was just having a female surgeon.
From the public?
From the public and even within the institution. From my colleagues, having a female general surgeon because it was never heard of. I'm the first that in all of St. existence, I'm the first female to have been back. So some persons, because I'm a female, they thought, one, I couldn't do the job. I couldn't do it. That's gender-based discrimination.
With all of your training.
With all of my training. And in some instances, there wasn't any proof to say otherwise that I could not do it. But it's just because it was not the norm. Yes. I was just marginalized, ostracized. But being from Sandy Point, I'm tough. I just sit there. I had to get that in there. Being from Sandy Point, I'm tough, and I just stood tall, and I knew what I had to do, and I did it. Yes. Okay, so that was a great difficulty, not only from my patients, but from within the institution and from my colleagues. That because I was a female, they just automatically thought that I could not do it.
Has that changed somewhat?
It has changed, and it has changed because, and I have to give credit to my patients, it didn't change from the inside, it didn't change from my colleagues. My patients were the one going out there saying, this lady knows what she's doing, she's worth her salt, as we say here in St. Kitts. So I gave a lot of kudos to my patients who are looking, they believed in me when the institution did not, they gave me that opportunity when the institution and my other colleagues did not. They trusted me. One of my first patients, he's a male, and he said to me, I operated on him 2014 Christmas Day, and when he saw me, he was shocked. First of all, I'm a female. Then he said to me, I looked as if I just come from first form. And he just couldn't believe, but guess what? I sat and I spoke with him. And he said, you know what? I've never had a doctor who sat with me, spoke with me, walked me through the process. And then he said, let's go. And up until a day like today, every Christmas he would send me a card. And that's 8-9 years ago.
When it comes to misconceptions that people have about surgery, that anxiety that they may feel, are there any misconceptions about it?
No, there are not any misconceptions because surgery is an aggression to the body. You're actually insulting the body. So any aggression to the body, it is expected that you're going to have some type of anxiety towards it. What persons don't understand too, that surgery is not just surgery because you have to go to sleep, as we call it. You have to go under anesthesia. And that in itself brings a lot of anxiety because one of the person's most feared outcome would be getting back out. Am I going to wake up? Yes. So that is understandable. Surgery is not just the process, it is also after. And persons would want to know, am I going to be good after? So then that again brings along anxiety. So as a doctor, I am fully aware of the different types of anxieties and stress that comes along with surgery. And I try my utmost best to calm my patients, walk them through the process. Because when I have a patient whose mind is made up, I am happy. And what we have to realize that as a surgeon, I need to be happy too. And sometimes we forget about the surgeon and we just, as a patient, I'm just thinking about myself. So knowing this, I try my utmost best to speak to my patients about the pre-surgery, the actual surgery, and what happens after surgery. And as doctors, if we take that little 10 minutes and do that, we calm the fears because the fears are real. I don't dismiss my patients' fears. I don't, because I cannot tell you that you're not fearful. I don't. I listen to you. And I sit, I even pull out my computer in my office, go on Google, bring up videos for you, and let you see what's going to happen. And what I find that is interesting, once I explain to my patients what's going to happen, Doc, let's go. Let us go. So the persons who are faithful are normally those persons who don't get a good explanation from their doctors about what's going to happen. And I try my utmost best on a daily basis to reevaluate myself, reevaluate the way I interact with my patients, because the experience, although it is serious, it has to be pleasurable, it has to be a beautiful experience. You know, it's not about me getting in there and getting out, it's not that. It's my patient going in, having a great experience, although it is surgery, coming out, and they're not, after the procedure, they're good. It's not that they're limping, not that, you know, their life has changed, but my main focus is once you would have done the surgery, you would be almost back to normal, perfect. So I speak with my patients all the time, and I think they have appreciated that. And I don't get so much of the anxieties from my patients anymore going into surgery, and I think that comes through education. We go back to that basic thing, educate. Once you know, it takes away the fear.
And compassion too, because, you know, just sitting across from you and understanding how you explain these things, that goes a long way, that human factor.
It does. I mean, my secretary gets vexed with me because I spend a little extra time in my office, and she's calling me. I see that call coming through, like, Dr. Woodley, hurry up, time ticking. We have others out there in the waiting room, but it is important. It's imperative, and I love it. I mean, I was a teacher, so that's part of me. The teaching process. I taught at Sandy Point High School for a year. My mother was a teacher. My brother is a teacher. My uncle is a teacher. So that is in me. So the teaching part about it, about medicine, I totally and thoroughly love.
So you're a general surgeon.
I'm a general surgeon.
How does this differ from other specialties in surgery?
Okay, well, general surgeon or general surgery, it's a big sack, and you can subspecialize. I always believe, and this is probably me being biased, but the general surgeon, in my opinion, is the most complete doctor. We can diagnose, and at the same time, we can treat. I can take you into theater and take it out. Unlike most surgeons, you diagnose, sometimes they're a little deficient in diagnosing, but they can operate, or they can operate, but they're a little deficient in diagnosing. So general surgery, we normally deal with the neck, chest, abdomen, but the subspecialties would be things like ear, nose, and throat, where we have our own now, Dr. Siobhan Henry, where she would just deal with the ear, the nose, and the throat. We have maxillofacial surgery, and we have a maxillofacial surgeon in Nevis. And I'm giving some history here, and we're all females too. We have a maxillofacial surgeon in Nevis, Dr. Veron Brooks. So she deals with just the bones of the face, okay, while Dr. Henry would deal with the ears and the nose and those things. Then we have the orthopedic surgeons, they would deal with the limbs, fractures, broken bones, etc., etc. So surgery, you can go into many subspecialties. We have the vascular surgeon, and we have a vascular surgeon here from Cuba, Dr. Coquette, who deals with, the diabetic foot, who deals with, poor circulation, etc., etc. But now, in the absence of all of these subspecialties, the general surgeon has to assume most of this work. And that's what I was doing and the other surgeon was doing for the past many years. Okay, there's another subspecialty, which is neurosurgery, which deals with the head and the brain and trauma to the head, etc. So in the absence of a neurosurgeon as well, the general surgeon has to assume these responsibilities. So general surgery, the big sack, and inside of that sack, you can have your subspecialties. In fact, it is said that if you get all of your subspecialties, the general surgeon becomes obsolete. Because then you won't need it.
Definitely see that.
Well, we need this.
Yes, I have to be honest, they would normally say that. But granted, if we still get all of those subspecialties, we can, specialize more on the abdomen, which I love a lot. And just shortly, I would want to go into what we call laparoscopy surgery, where we do, surgery, minimally invasive surgery from outside. We don't have to do these big cut down on the abdomen. So that is my goal. So if all the other subspecialties want to come, no problem, come ahead. And I will just focus on, my laparoscopy and get moving with that. Okay? So.
All right. Very quickly, I want you to tell us about the First Foot Clinic.
Yeah. No, that is a passion. And again, it seems as if I'm just being thrown into things that I haven't thought about. because when I got back home in 2014, my passion was laparoscopy, and I wanted to go full into that.
Yeah.
But then when I got home, I realized the high incidence of amputations. And I said, no, there has to be a better way.
Yeah.
And I am imploring the young persons who are looking on that sometimes you just have to stop a while and say, hey, let's do things differently. Do not always go with the common thread. Do not always go, downstream because it is easier. And cutting off the foot, it is easier. So then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go upstream. I'm gonna swim upstream. It's going to be tough because I know I would be doing it on my own because what I was presenting wasn't presented before. And our culture is of such that if you haven't seen it before, it cannot be done. So I automatically knew that's what's going to happen. So because the incidence of amputations was so high, I decided I have to do this differently. And I decided I was going to open a foot clinic. It's actually the first foot clinic to be opened in the Federation. And I decided I was going to take some time out, put my love and passion, which is laparoscopy, aside, and I'm going to delve into saving the diabetic foot. And that's where I went. I'm also throwing this out there to my other doctors. Please latch on because I will be leaving soon from that area. Because we have to stop cutting off feet. And I think I have been successful, that I brought awareness to the foot care, how to take care of the foot. I've applied, cutting edge therapy as it relates to wound healing. I got my patients very much involved. I was able to save some feet that were already on the list for amputations. So, yeah, it was well needed. I don't regret putting my passion aside just to do this. I've inspired a lot of other nurses now on the wards and a lot of other, homes that take care of people about the diabetic foot care. And while I'm on that topic, I would love to give shout out to Miss Leader from the Grange, because she too, when I came back, she was probably the only receptive person to me going upstream as it related to the diabetic foot care. So when she saw me, she latched on, and I latched on to her like, okay, we are friends forever. And we did a lot of work together. She would get new products, she would call me, we would go to the new products. I actually did courses, took my own money, did courses. I went back to Cuba, did courses, because there has to be a better way. And we have saved a lot of feet. A lot of feet we have saved. Okay, so for me, that's diabetic foot care, that's A+ amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So before we go, because we're strapped for time, how does Joy let, and as you said, this patient said let us go, so there's a pun in your name.
Okay.
How is self-care for you? What do you do for you?
That's something I had to learn along the way, because we're not taught that. So I have a 14-year-old, and I let her know, hey, every Friday, Saturday, take some time out for yourself. I get her scrubs. We go to the different spas, and because self-care is important. Nice. If I don't take care of me, I can't take care of you. And sadly, I learned that late. So that is why we have to start with our younger ones, because it's a culture thing. I don't know. We feel as if sometimes we feel guilty taking care of ourselves, as if we should be in the cane field cutting cane all the time. I don't understand what's going on with us. I don't understand. So self-care for me, it is important. And we have to take time outs. We have to say, hey, stop. And what is important, if you have a colleague and you see that colleague is going and probably doesn't notice that he or she needs a time out, we have to do it too for our colleagues and say, hey, you need a time out. Take a break. So self-care is important because it helps me to recharge my batteries. It helps me to internalize. And I love to sit and think about things. Helps me to internalize, am I doing things the correct way? Could I have done it differently? Okay, it helped me realize where I'm deficient, because we're not perfect, I'm deficient. So you need all of this time out and self-care to reflect. So when you come back to your patients, you come back, in a better frame of mind, you come back with better tools, you are now able to diagnose and move faster and help persons more effectively. So the self-care is important. I always push it. Go and get your massages, go and get your feet done, go and get your head massaged, get your hair scraped. These things, you have to pamper yourselves. Get all the senses awakened and going, because it helps you, it contributes to longevity. It does.
All right, I'm going to go against the grain here. Nobody look at me. Boss, do not come in here. I'm going to hold you for 30 more seconds. There's just one thing I need to talk to you about before you go, the talk show. For those who want to hear more about it, where can we listen to it? What is it about?
Okay, so the talk show, I mean, I have been on, platforms before, but our talk show right now is Healthwise on ZIZ. It comes on Monday. It's actually done by the St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association. I'm the president of that association. And I'm the person who like to put my money where my mouth is. I want my patients to be better. And how are they going to be better if I don't educate them? So I use that platform to educate my patients so that they can make healthy and informed decisions about their lives.